We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. The winner of the Top Fuel Division at the Winter Nationals in Pomona, as well as the defending winner of the Arizona Nationals, Leah Pritchett, will be here. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the country, this is The Straight Line on Drag Racing at MRN.com. I'm Marty Hough here in the Concord, North Carolina studios of the Motor Racing Network. Joining me on the telephone line from Southern California, as he was last week, is our 10-time NHRA national event winner, Doug Herbert is here. And Doug, you had the opportunity this weekend. You talk about, John Force talks about preaching the gospel of NHRA. Well, you're in Southern California kind of preaching the gospel. You've been there now for a couple of weeks. Just kind of bring everybody up to date what you've been doing with brakes in Southern California.
Well, we started out in San Diego. We had a great weekend down there in San Diego. And then the last week and a half or so, I've spent going around visiting television, doing radio. We just got done doing that car talk show with Adam Carolla. I always watch that man show that they had. It was pretty funny. But I didn't realize what a car guy he is. So had a lot of fun doing that. And just, just hanging out here and getting things done, working with the California Office of Traffic Safety and the Highway Patrol and San Diego Police and Pomona and, just all the people around here that have been really supportive in brakes. And it's easy to send emails and talk over the phone, but when you go meet face to face, it's a whole different thing.
Coming up here in a couple of minutes, we'll talk to the winner at the Winter Nationals in the Top Fuel Division, Leah Pritchett. I'm hesitant to say that there may be a new sheriff in town, but I don't think it would be a stretch to say maybe a new deputy in town. She put a whooping on him a couple of weekends ago in Pomona.
Well, she's going into this race in Phoenix as the defending champ, winning her first ever Top Fuel race last year. And now, coming off winning her second Top Fuel race last week at Pomona, which is big. I mean, winning Pomona. We've talked about it on the show several times. That's a big one. Winning at Pomona is a big one. So, new sheriff in town, I don't know. I guess we'd ask Tony Schumacher and Antron, and maybe Doug Coletta.
Yeah.
I don't know if new sheriff in town, but I'll tell you what, they are paying attention to her right now. The way the car ran last week, it was nothing to sneeze at, that's for sure.
Yeah, and she's not just a pretty face. I mean, this is not a new thing, females in motorsports. Some of them are successful, some of them are not. Some of them get a lot of attention, because they've got a bright personality or they've got a pretty face. But when you go out and win like she did, I mean, she didn't back into this. She earned every one of those rounds and getting to the final round and winning the Golden Wally at the end of it. Her performance has been very, very good over the last season of full in 2016 and opening 2017 as well.
Well, I think last year she was kind of trying to put a little patch here and a patch there to get things together. And now with the Papa John's Pizza coming around to really underwrite I don't know if they're underwriting the whole year, just the majority of the year, but that's pretty big. So it's going to, she's at Schumacher, right? So how can you go wrong being at Schumacher's where they've won the Top Fuel Championship, I don't know how many times, quite a few between Tony and Antron. So being there and having that experience and team to fall back on, it's going to be, it's not going to be, she's not going to make it easy on everyone else, I guess would be the easiest way to say it. I mean, that car's going to run good. Leah does a good job driving the car. And, the bottom line is, you and I have talked about this before, is she's good for the sport. She's a cute woman. She's outgoing. She's well-spoken. And that's good for drag racing. She's not like an old gas station mechanic that drives a race car and, talks like a sailor. She does a good job and gets it done. So, I think, I'm glad to see her out there doing well. And I wouldn't be surprised to keep it on going. I got to say, last weekend, one of the most impressive runs I thought, though, was Terry McMillan running. I think he ran a 372 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really good run. So McMillan and his team are getting it done. That was happy to see from, I mean, they're not probably going to go out there and win the championship,
right.
but just seeing that they can go out there and run that good and not blow stuff up, that's a good start to the year for them.
We talked to Matt Hagan last week about the cars being so different, whether it be, or very same, I should say, across the board, whether it be in funny cars or dragsters. There's not a lot of secrets out there, and these cars, for the most part, are running really close together. So the driver is really making a difference. No longer can a driver say, and I think there was a period of time where if you had a really good car, your stance, your attitude was, hey, if I just make a consistent, if I could just do the same thing over and over, I'm going to win more rounds than not. Nowadays, the driver is making a whole lot of difference because these cars are so close together. Your thoughts on that?
That's right. Well, yeah, I think those days are gone. Every run, you go up there and look at the lights at Antron and Tony and Steve Torrance. I mean, they cut good lights every single time, and their cars run good every single time. So going up there and knowing that you have to perform like that, I don't know. I think it brings out the best in everyone when you pull in the other lane from those guys. Looking at the reaction times from Pomona, very few had a reaction time over a tenth of a second.
Yeah.
And when you have reaction times like that, and most of them, like Antron, he's down having, 030 lights or 040 lights. I mean, when you've got a light like that, you're going to pull up there and, for instance, Brittany Force had a 104 light. Well, 104 light, that's just not going to win very many races.
Right.
I'm sorry. And you better get your act together. You better have a little bit of meditation time and figure out what it's going to do, what it's going to take to get your concentration level to where it needs to be, where you can see that light coming on and be inside that bulb and get in the zone. When you get in the car, you better be in the zone.
Can you get into another driver's head knowing that driver may leave on you and may leave on you big? Is there a psychological difference if you're an Antron Brown and you've been cutting 30, 40 lights all day, you get to the final round and knowing that, hey, I better be on my game? Can you really get into somebody's head if you're, that guy that's been leaving all day?
I don't know. I don't think you can get into these guys' head. I mean, Doug Herbert or Antron or Tony, nah, you're not going to be able to get in their head. I mean, you can try and throw them off a little bit, go up there and stage a little fast or stage a little slow or flicker the top light by pulling in a little bit deep. And you can do that, but you got to keep in mind the next time that you race them, and, which is going to happen probably more this year than a lot of years because there's less cars. When you pull something on somebody, the next time you go to the starting line against them, you better be ready because they're going to do something to you. So you just got to decide, is it going to mess you up or is it going to mess them up? And sometimes, trying to mess with somebody else ends up backfiring on you. So I don't know. I think the best thing to do really is just pull up there and race your car. You do the best you can in this day and age. Now it comes down to the final round. That's a little bit different. If you're cutting 030 or 040 lights, well, obviously you don't want to roll into that deep, but the fact is the reaction time, the closer you get to zero, the better off you are. And the deeper you roll in the starting beams, the closer you are to the finish line. So there's no lane choice in final round.
Yeah, no doubt about that. For years, and I'm not going to say for years, but there were a couple years there where you led Top Fuel in leaving. Did you feel like you had an advantage over some of those guys when you pulled up into the beams?
I think I did a lot of times. I could get myself in just such a good zone. I'd get in the car and I just felt like I was part of the car. And when the car runs well, or when you really feel like you have to have a better reaction time because maybe your car's not running so well, the two different sides of that. But yeah, I think that we would go up there when I was really on my game, and I could tell my crew chief, hey, make sure the car goes down the track because I'm going to whoop that guy in the starting line. Just make sure we go down because as long as we go down, we're going to win. So, yeah, I think there's some I think there's some truth to that. But then on the other hand, when you're cutting killer lights and you really are on the ball, then guys that are racing you, they're taking shots at you too.
Yeah.
So they're going to go up there and guess on the light, or their crew chief is going to step on it and they're going to throw out some kind of record run on you. So, same old thing. You got to go up there and do the best you can every single time. And, the competition level at the top 10 is so tough. And Funny Car, Top Fuel, and Pro Stock Bike. I mean, the competition is so good. There's not a big advantage, I don't think, that anybody's going to have nowadays.
All right, my friend, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. And you'll be to my right here next week, and looking forward to it.
We'll see you next week. I'll be keeping posted on Phoenix this weekend, and we're going to be at Pomona this weekend with Brakes doing teaching some teenagers over here.
Put it on thebrakes.org for more information. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up, Leah Pritchett.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is power. This is freedom. This is tradition.
It's Dale Earnhardt with the lead.
This is being who you were meant to be, where you were meant to be. This is more than a race. This is Talladega. The biggest party in NASCAR returns May 5th through 7th for the Geico 500. Call 877-GO-TO-DEGA for tickets.
Online and on the air, MRN is live from the track on MRN.com and the MRN app. Check out all MRN race broadcasts, pole qualifying and practices, plus exclusive motorsports programming live on your computer or mobile device. Or go to MRN.com to find your local radio station's online stream. Don't miss a second of NASCAR racing action. Listen live online at MRN.com, the MRN app, or your local station.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Hough.
Thanks for being with us on The Straight Line this afternoon. And joining us on the telephone line right now is the winner of the Top Fuel Division at the Winter Nationals, and also the defending winner of this weekend's race at Wild Horse Pass in Arizona. Leah Pritchett joins us. Leah, first of all, congratulations. Great run this weekend at Pomona.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. For one, it's always great to be on the show with you guys, and two, it's always great to hear the words that you had just said, because those are really hard to come by.
Yeah, no doubt. We just had Doug Herbert on the telephone. He's down in Southern California right now with the Brakes program. But we'd asked him about winning at Pomona. He's a Southern California guy. He's always said that one of his biggest wins was Pomona. You're a Southern California girl. How big can you imagine ever winning at Pomona?
I imagined winning at Pomona a long, long time ago. I mean, I do it every time, but I don't think I've ever imagined winning somewhere as much as I'd imagined at Pomona. And it took a little while, to be honest, for it to really sink in. I mean, knowing that not that many females, for one, have won there, and two, being, for some, the prestigious race or the second or third of the entire series. For me, there was so much about it. The first race of the season, we had a lot of high expectations for our team. A lot of people had high expectations for us after testing. And it was, I think the word to describe that win was gratifying for the team and I for that win. And now, going on to Phoenix. But Doug is right. Pomona, that's a big deal. That's where so much of NHRA and hardcore drag racing history was founded and born, and where the passion, and it's changed throughout the years and the generations. But I think what's really cool is that I and my team, we get to be a part of continuing new success at Pomona Winter Nationals.
We'll talk about eliminations here in just a minute and the absolute murderer's row that you had to face in eliminations. But qualifying, weather was going on Friday and Saturday, trying to get inside the weather windows and everything else. But your crew sent you down the track for a 367 that got you the pole and a first round bye. How much confidence did you have going into Sunday eliminations after that huge run on Saturday?
I have to say, all of that was a really, really cool, unique feeling that I've only experienced a couple times before as our car got stronger at the end of last year. But when Todd Okuhara tells me, we have a conversation, and I know that we are absolutely laying it down, like giving everything we've got, that's a really cool feeling. And that was going into Q on Saturday on Q4. So the confidence factor, I think what's different than any other race, or it's really rare, is that we weren't just going out there just trying to be number one just to be number one. There was a lot on the line. There was a bye run on the line for number one qualifier, like to start the season off like that. So that's what that meant, of being number one. We have the bye run. So the confidence going into Sunday was even heightened, so to speak, that we have one extra run, not to test anything, so to speak, at all, but there's a little bit, your window is much larger because there's nobody in the other lane. And of course we laid down a solid 70 and we were able to then, as I looked at it, get with the rest of the pack. Now, as a driver going into that, you think, okay, I have an extra shot at the tree and in practicing, so to speak, my lights. And you're really not, as much as you want to pretend that you're up on the against somebody else for that first round, there is no other feeling besides first round jitters against another competitor. So when I went into second round of eliminations against Steve Torrance, he kind of had a one up on me. If he already got to get by his first round jitters, so to speak,
right,
and defeat somebody. So our second round was really our first round, but we had a nice run at it, and ultimately we were able to get the job done every round.
For those that may not know, when you run Steve Torrance, of course, you are also running your husband, who is a crew member on Steve Torrance's team. Win or lose, what's that like afterwards when you get back to either the bus or the hotel or whatever, when you've run Steve Torrance in eliminations?
It's definitely unique, and no, we don't have a bus, and we do get to share a hotel. That's one of the perks. We do get to have that, but that day, Sunday, we knew that there's a very good chance, 50% in his corner, that we would be meeting up in second round. And we talked about that one time. We talked about that Saturday night in a nonchalant of just, as long as we get down the track, everything goes fine in our bye run, you guys do your job, we'll see you in round two. Now, come Saturday morning, we get ready about a half an hour departing time, so he leaves out before me, and that was it. That was the last time I saw him. I didn't talk to him throughout the day, and not, okay, well, we're coming up on second round, not a look at each other in the staging lanes. It's like it's total game face 1,000%. Then afterwards, when we get into eliminations, I don't have my phone on me, not one bit. I hand it off to somebody else, play music for the team. I'm working on car, doing fuel, doing parachutes, whatever it may be. We're hustling for live TV. So he had actually, after we beat Steve Torrance and that Capco team, had texted, great job, take it all the way today. But I never saw him until after the final round. And that's really weird, because usually when your spouse is at the track, they're the most supportive role, and he is the most supportive role. But that's what works for us. And that's so he can do his job, I can do my job. And it's super cool, because it makes it at the end of the day that much better when we go, so, how was your day?
yeah, right. Which could be a little bit awkward, but as long as you got the job done, I guess that's all that matters. More with Leah Pritchett coming up.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Just wondering, what's the first thing you tend to think of? I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Let's see you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Marty Hough.
Thanks for being with us here on The Straight Line. Rejoining us on the telephone right now is the driver of the Papa John's Top Fuel Dragster and winner at Pomona a couple weekends ago, Leah Pritchett. Leah, I guess what most people want to talk about was your semifinal run against Tony Schumacher, where there was a little smack talk at the top end, which is no big deal. This is not the first time that this sort of thing happened. But then afterwards, there was a little Twitter fodder going on. For our streaming folks, first of all, the a tweet went out from Tony Schumacher saying Happy Valentine's Day. This coming out on Valentine's Day with a whole bunch of Wallies in a big heart just for you, saying, hey, basically throwing out the olive branch. Just kind of talk about going through the early part of this week with a bitter Twitter follower out there.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to say that it was extremely cute of him for that, and I'm sure it was cute what had happened on the track. You know, we have a great relationship. We have a great friendship, great teamship. We actually probably talk every day, whether it's about the race car, about leaving, about breathing. We participate with sponsors together. So him and I we're completely fine, and we talk about the actual core of drag racing, and that is there's one winner, there's one loser, right. There's a lot of adrenaline. So, to be totally honest, we run Tony. We're real close off the light. I had a 60, he had a 66. And our car was faster. I think we caught the stripe by a quarter length of a car, almost a half. And I'm pumped up to top end, and I distinctly said, love racing Tony, Army team, great competitors. I don't know what the back of my car looks like, but I think Tony does. Ask him. Like, total joking manner. I mean, hey, if you like drag racing, I mean, then you understand that.
It's good stuff.
You're pumped up. So he hits me back on Twitter, which I check that thing maybe a couple of times a day. And, so he brought out the 8-9 Wallies that he had in one season for winning the championship. And he says, you think you're up for the challenge? And you know what I saw from that was if you can't have a teammate that drives and pushes you to be a better person or driver, right, or to really be up on your game, then what more is a teammate, good for? That's what we're supposed to do to each other. So it was awesome. I saw that, and I ran through my phone from a photo my dad sent to me a couple of years ago of I'm 9-year-old Leah Pritchett at the Winter Nationals getting the back of my shirt signed by Tony that I had waited in line for like an hour. I was always and have been a Tony fan. So I shot that right back to him, and I'm like, hey man, I'm just proud to race against you and be your teammate, because I am. But and then people, they say they want drama, they say they want trash talking, or I'm like, that if they consider that trash talking, like they need to like thicken up their skin a little bit, because that's just all fun and games, and that's teammate rivalry.
Yeah, no question about that. Real quick, want to ask you about being the defending winner of the race coming up in Phoenix this weekend. It was your first win, first win in Top Fuel. What do you remember from that day?
Oh man, I remember every single run for sure. But when they told me that I had won the final round on a hole shot, and that Mike Guger got his first win as a crew chief, and that we had redeemed ourselves from Pomona, I remember absolutely every part of it, from Antron Brown to racing Clay, who I lost against him in that Pomona. Like, every part of that day was redemption to winning against Brittany in the final. And I hadn't won. A lot of people don't know that. I hadn't won a race in Top Fuel on a hole shot before. So my first ever hole shot win in a round to be in the final round against Brittany at the first race for two females in, over 20 years, 30 years. That's what I remember right there. And the exact same way I felt about that is the exact same way I felt at Pomona, which gives me, it makes me happy that every win is always going to be so extraordinary for me, just because this is what I love.
Winner at Pomona, defending winner at Phoenix. Leah Pritchett, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being on. Talk to you guys next time.
And we'll have more of the Straight Line coming up.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you need help with moving your equipment? Industry-leading companies do, and they trust Housby Transport to move their internal equipment promptly and professionally. At Housby Transport, we pride ourselves on efficiency, timeliness, and saving our customers money. With our team of logistics managers, always ready to assist you in any way possible. Any size, any type, anywhere. Housby Transport is ready to move. For more information and to obtain a quote, visit Housby.com. Housby, an official sponsor of NASCAR for over 40 years.
It's a new era of NASCAR excitement.
Chase Elliott, your leader, Joey Logano, right on the back bump.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Eric Jones able to break away by a car length and a half.
Featuring the world's best drivers.
Kevin Harvick still trying to catch Jimmy Johnson.
Fighting for the biggest prize in racing.
And he is your champ.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The Daytona 500. February 26th on the Motor Racing Network. The voice of NASCAR.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Hough.
Thanks for being here on this special time edition of The Straight Line, and thanks for being with us. As we mentioned, Leah Pritchett is the defending winner of the Arizona Nationals coming up this weekend at Phoenix. Jason Line, kind of in the same situation that Leah Pritchett is in. He won at Pomona this weekend and heading to another race where he is the defending winner. Jason Line has 45 wins in his career, and if everything goes right, I would imagine that he would be at 50 this at the end of the season. So it's something to watch for Jason Line. Your defending winner in the funny car division is Tim Wilkerson, and that'll be a real good opportunity for Tim Wilkerson to maybe defend and get back on the good side with his new car as he heads into Phoenix. I want to thank everybody who was involved in today's show, including our award-winning staff, Daryl Smith and Robbie Mays. I'm Marty Hough. We will talk to you next week on
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MotorRacingNetwork.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand at MotorRacingNetwork.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.